think I'm live. Um, yeah, what's up, everyone? Day three. Let's get it. I'm gonna start with a couple quick notes once I make sure I'm live here. I don't know how much of a lag to expect on this. I think I'm live. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay. Cool. All right. So first thing is I just want to talk about an extra layer of structure. I'm going to add to my notes here. Um, I was thinking about it today, and I think a lot of my notes kind of take the form of like, I see something confusing or new when I'm looking at a question, and I'm not really sure like how to interpret it or what to think about it in the moment. So I just kind of write it down, and then the idea is like maybe later I get back to it. Um, Yeah, so what I'm going to start doing basically, I just have this numbering scheme where every question I have, I'll just like put it in this numbered list that Google Docs does automatically. And then when I come back, I'll have another section if I want to like respond to a previous question because I figured something out, I'll add it. So, like one question that I voiced yesterday but I didn't write down, but that's relevant today is I thought that I found that the only vowel sound which can come after W is the ah sound. And that's what I thought I saw. Um, but today I'm actually going to address that. Let's get this out of bold. Cool. And how am I going to address it? Well, the second thing I wanted to say is I was thinking of some days, maybe not necessarily every day, just starting off with like a quick 5 to 10 minute topic. Um, in part, maybe just to add like a little bit of extra information to anyone who's interested. But to me, a big part of it is also just like um, these questions do come up, and I want to actually try to answer them for myself as I go. And so I just want to set aside some time to be not doing sentences, but like trying to dig into answering a question or looking into some little subtopic. Um, so the thing that I was interested in looking to actually is something I haven't really mentioned yet. But when you look at Wiktionary, when it's describing the pronunciation of a word in Japanese, um, it indicates not only the sounds of the word, but it indicates like an intonation pattern on the word. Um, so all the stuff written here is in International Phonetic Alphabet, which is basically a notation system in linguistics for writing down the pronunciation of a word. We can talk about that some today. The part I'm trying to point out is these little accent marks, the like accent grave and acute accent over some of these letters that are meant to indicate an intonation pattern. Um, and I know that Japanese has rules for intonation, like every language, it has rules for what you're supposed to do with the intonation of your voice. It's not a tonal language. It's not like Chinese, but I mean English. Even English has rules for intonation, so every language is going to have that. But I don't really know anything about how it works in Japanese. So that's what I'm really interested in learning because I don't know that. But I thought for today, I could leave that aside. We could look into more the basics of the Japanese sound system, just consonants and vowels. And maybe tomorrow I'll spend some time looking at the intonation system in Japanese. Cool. So yeah, I mean I didn't really plan anything here, but my source for talking about Japanese phonology today, which just means the sound system, is just going to be the Wikipedia page because I've read this before. I think I mentioned in my conversation with Sean on day one. I've read this before. I kind of know what's going on roughly with Japanese phonology. So we can talk a little bit about the consonant and vowel sounds in Japanese and get to that question I raised, which was basically the W sound wa and what vowels can occur after it. Um, yeah, so we can dive right in. I am really used to looking at the phonology of languages because this is a very common surface level thing to do if you're interested in talking about a language linguistically, but I'm going to try to talk about this, preface this in ways to people who aren't familiar with looking at a language like this. So basically, when you look at any language, um, you're going to talk about its system of sounds, of making sounds, in an organized way, first and foremost by looking at its inventory of phonemes, meaning, like, it's kind of hard to describe what a phoneme is. You could just call it the set of sounds, but as you can see, we've got some things in parentheses here. So it's not just about what sounds speakers ever make, but in a sense, like the systematic pieces of sound that can interact in different ways. Some people say a phoneme is like what's going on inside the speaker's head. So we can talk about that as we get to it. Actually, let me pull up a hiragana table because the notes I'm going to make about Japanese consonant phonemes tie in a lot to the way that the hiragana table works, actually. So according to this chart, Japanese has, I guess, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 consonant sounds, if you don't count these, that I'll get to in a minute. Basically, these are, we can say 14 consonant sounds that can occur directly before a vowel. And Japanese just has, where is it? Just 5 vowel sounds. Kind of boring. You see this system in a lot of languages, including Spanish, Greek, I don't know, a lot of languages, just a, e, o, u. Although Japanese, it's pronounced a little bit differently. There's some note here. It's usually like u, u. I don't really know. I can't exactly say it, but the more important piece is just to kind of look at the structure rather than the specific sound that is being made. So the point is there's 5 vowels. And I think the most interesting thing to talk about here is how consonants interact with vowels. So we've got all these things in parentheses, and these are kind of sounds that can emerge under certain conditions. So like if we look at a hiragana table, if we look at the H row, the H phoneme plus the ah phoneme is just ha. For H plus, and it's just he or ho. So nothing really interesting is going on there. We just take the sound h and then the vowel sound and we squish them together. But for certain vowel sounds, before certain vowel sounds, the H is going to sound different. So I think the easiest one to pick up on, because it's actually transcribed differently, is that H before U or U sound is always pronounced something more like an F, so like fu, something like that. And so, let's see, yeah, like if you see Japanese words that are written with an F when they're rendered in English, like maybe like Mount Fuji or Fukushima or something, you only ever see the letter F used to render Japanese before a U, and you never see HU. Because it's a conditioned change. The letter H is just pronounced like an F sound before U, always. And what that means is that the F sound isn't really its own phoneme in Japanese. It's just a conditioned pronunciation of the H phoneme. Same thing here. HI is he. I think to me, to most English speakers, that sounds a little less different than a normal H sound, so we might not notice that it's a conditioned phoneme, but yeah, okay, so this table notes that it's like a different pronunciation that you can hear. Same thing goes on with some of the sounds in this column before, I guess just before the E vowel sound, this column. So like instead of C you have she, and instead of T you have chi. Instead of Z or D, those just become G. And those happen always. So again, in Japanese you will never see like S followed by I. When you're rendering Japanese and English, it'll always be she. It'll never be C. Um, there are some cases where it can go the other way around. Sometimes you see sha and shu and sho. It's not always sa, su, so. Um, I'll talk about that in a sec. But point is, like, a lot of these sounds, like sa and ta and da and za, are conditioned by being in front of e, so that they are always shifted in their pronunciation to she, chi. And so that's another example of where these sounds might not be considered phonemes. They might not be considered distinct sounds in Japanese. It's just a different way that that sound is pronounced. So yeah, I don't even know if this is helpful to anyone who's learning Japanese and is wondering, like, why do I only see the letter F in such rare circumstances? Why is it only in this one situation? And hopefully this slightly theoretical approach gives a little more explanation as to why you might see that. Yeah, I guess the one extra thing I can add, let's zoom out from talking about sounds and talk about, like, the structure of a Japanese syllable. There's probably information about this somewhere. Yeah, so a syllable, I don't know. I don't really want to try to explain the concept of a syllable necessarily, but you can go look at that in other places. I mean, we have syllables in English. That's hopefully a concept that's familiar to people. But the idea is basically that in Japanese, a syllable must have a vowel, like in a lot of languages. It can have a consonant at the beginning. And importantly, it can have a consonant plus the y sound. Don't be confused by the fact this is written with a J. What it means is a y sound. So they give an example here. Ko is a syllable. Yo is a syllable. But those two consonant sounds you can put together. So you can have a syllable that's kyo. And ya is the only sound that you can do this with. The only time you can have two consonants in a row right before a vowel within a single syllable in Japanese is if it's something else plus ya. I think not even every consonant. Yeah, so you can look at a hiragana table to see which consonants can appear before a ya. So kia is possible, nya, hia, mia, ria, kia, ja, yeah, whatever. And the one other thing to point out here is that because there are all these other consonants that can appear with ya after them, when we see that there is a sha sound possible in Japanese, or a shu, or a sho, that's still no reason to say that sha is its own independent sound in Japanese. Because according to this pattern, it appears as though that sha that we're getting is really just what happens when you put the ya sound after sa. So if you're thinking about it in terms of a sequence of sounds, you might have sa, then ya, and then a, and that all strung together just sounds like sha. But really, what's going on underneath the surface is you have two consonant sounds kind of being smushed together. So that's why a sound like sha is put in parentheses in this chart, because it's not really an independent sound. It only arises due to context or due to smushing sounds together. Yeah, the last thing to say is that Japanese syllables can also end with a consonant. But in terms of the consonants it can end with, it's a little harder to say exactly what those consonant sounds are, because they can sound, they don't have any one dominant sound. They just sound different from context. So the one sound that a syllable can end with is kind of an N. It's often transcribed as an N, but it's not the same thing as the N sound that a syllable can start with. So let's actually see how Wiktionary describes the sound of this word right here. I think if it's like at the end of a word, a lot of times this N sound will be described as, okay, this big N. I don't know, actually. Let's listen. Let's see if we can find any examples of someone speaking this, so we can hear that it doesn't just sound like a regular n sound. It's not, what is this? It's not kon, probably. It probably sounds different.
コン
Kong?
コン
Kong?
コン
Kong? Something like kong. Maybe more like an ng sound. But if this appears, if this like syllable ending n sound appears before another consonant, it could sound like an m, it could sound like a normal n. So it just kind of adapts to the sound after it. Here you can see there's a list of sounds. I'm not going to go into what each of these mean, but they can sound different depending on what comes after it. Same thing, there's this special sound in Japanese that only ever just sounds like a doubling of the sound after it. So, let's see how Wiktionary breaks down this word. It doesn't have a pronunciation given for this word. Let's see, what's a word I can do here? Da maybe? Oh, it doesn't have a pronunciation for this either. Okay, but here we go. We can use this word. I haven't even seen this word before, but it'll still get our point across. So this word, yatta, we could think about as two syllables. It's kind of hard to say the first one. The first one, in this case, kind of sounds like yat, and then the second one is ta. But it's not that the syllable ends in a T sound, it's just that it ends in a special sound that means we're going to double the next sound. And so, yeah, you'll see this, you'll see doubled consonants in Japanese sometimes, but like that always kind of is conditioned by the previous syllable. One thing that I noticed as I was just looking around Wiktionary today, the word for Japan in Japanese, sometimes it's said Nihon, but let's focus on the pronunciation Nippon. I think it's also pronounced sometimes. So you could think of this as being two syllables, each one of which is represented by one kanji. So nip plus pon. But again, the first one isn't really nip. It's like ni and then double the next consonant is the way that you pronounce that syllable. The funny thing here, though, is that this kanji, when it's pronounced on its own, it's not pronounced ni, it's not pronounced nip or anything. The way it's often pronounced is, or it's generally pronounced when it's just on its own, is nichi. But in a compound, you don't hear the chi at all. It just doubles the following sound. Where does that come from? So this is actually due to the way it was taken from Chinese originally, right? This is a pronunciation of this kanji that comes from Chinese. And in Chinese it was pronounced something like neat. N-I-T, neat. When Japanese took it in as a loan word, it was not possible to say neat in Japanese. That's not a possible syllable in Japanese because you can't really end a syllable just with any consonant. So they threw an extra vowel in there. It was something like niti, which now in the modern language, because of the way that T is conditioned to sound differently before the sound E, it's no longer niti, it's nichi, because you can't say T in Japanese anymore, it's nichi. But in a compound, like if we're putting the syllable neat before something else that sounds like pon, the T was interpreted completely differently. The neat pon, the T just kind of ran into the next consonant. So instead of nichipon, all it did was it doubled the sound after it to be nippon. I think that this pattern appears a lot in Japanese, just based on my impression. I don't know if it's only with the chi ending, or if maybe there are other syllables that can end a kanji reading that might turn into just being a doubling of the next sound. But if this is something that seems weird, this is the historical explanation for it. It's just that depending on whether or not it was part of a compound word, speakers of old Japanese or Middle Japanese or whatever had a different way of dealing with the fact that this Chinese word ended in a consonant that they could not really say in Japanese. They had to find some way to try to pronounce it, and the way that they chose to try to pronounce it was different depending on the context. Okay, yeah, that's a little deeper than maybe I thought I was going to go, but hopefully that's useful to people. Um, yeah, again, this is stuff that I have not learned in the last 2 days. This is stuff that I um, kind of already just knew due to exposure. Because sound systems are a very surface level thing about a language, uh, and I've been interested in linguistics for like years and years and years, I've just kind of ended up being, at least having like a passing familiarity with the way that the sounds work in a lot of just in a lot of like well-known languages. So um, somehow I've encountered all this information about Japanese, even though I haven't encountered a lot of information about its grammar or anything else. Um, but yeah, and then there's vowel length. I don't know. I don't really want to get into that other than to say vowels can be short or long. Um, but maybe I'll talk about that more tomorrow when I talk about the thing that I'm actually really interested in, because I don't know anything about it, which is what's called the pitch accent system. That's just the system by which the intonation of a word in Japanese is determined. I think it's actually not even that different, maybe, from like English stress, at least at a structural level. So it's nothing like Chinese tone, but it is a system. Like any language has a system um, for determining the kind of intonation patterns of its words. But yeah, we can talk more about that, and I think that'll involve talking about vowel length and stuff maybe tomorrow. Yeah, anyway, that is totally off the cuff. I don't know if it's of any use, but I just thought it might be cool to start by like digging into a topic. Some days, maybe most days, we'll see how often I feel inspired to do it. But yeah, and I'm looking forward to actually finding out about Japanese pitch accent tomorrow. Because as I'm hearing these sentences in Clozemaster, I hear that there's intonation going on somehow, but I don't really understand what I'm hearing there. I'm not sure I'm really noticing it, other than obviously they're speaking with some. If you say a word, you have to say it at some pitch. So there's some pattern there that I'm not picking up on yet. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that I guess long digression aside. I guess I'll dig back into it today. I think yesterday I started with review. Today I want to try starting with the new sentences, just to see if maybe I like one or the other more. I was looking at my review schedule earlier today, just to point out that because of the way I've set up my review settings, the first day on which I have twice as many reviews is going to be January 9th, because on that day I'll have most of the words that I learned on day one that I'll be seeing for the third time, plus all the words that I'm going to look at just the day before on January 8th. So I'm going to have reviews for both of those. So I'll have something like 120 words to review, a little bit less because looks like I only have 58 reviews queued up for that day from day one. I think that's just words that I got wrong again yesterday when I reviewed them. After seeing them once, I got them wrong again. So I think it held them back. Or I think actually it is having me review them today, so that makes sense. Yeah, cool. I guess that's all I wanted to say about that. So we can get right into new sentences. Let me make sure I have it set to... Yeah, I'm not going to get any reviews while I'm doing new sentences. And I think today I'll do maybe the same thing I did yesterday, where I do maybe a half hour to an hour of doing stuff where I'm like kind of talking out loud and or thinking out loud, giving my thoughts as I go. Um, it's nice, even just for me. I enjoy like going back and looking at like what I was thinking, how I was feeling about the sentences, just to kind of gauge where I'm at on a particular day. Um, but I do think it slows me down some, so I don't want to do it like for the entire time. At a certain point, I would just want to like knuckle down and just kind of speed through things. But yeah, for the first maybe 20 or 30 sentences at least, we'll say, I'll try to kind of give my thoughts as I see them. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, I think I've seen these kanji before. You have seen this pronounced as hon. Actually, it's in Nippon. It's the second syllable in pon, or nihon. That's another funny pattern in like historical Japanese that I don't want to get too much into now, but it's that P turned into H at some point in the history of the language, which is why it can either be said Nihon or Nippon, because there's kind of a connection between P and H. It's also why I think sometimes H can turn into B, or like H and B can have like a relationship in Japanese, because B and P are very similar sounds. I don't know. Maybe that'll come up in a later time. But anyway, that's just a fun little side thing. That it's hon or pon, I guess, depending on context. This word, this was the kanji that inspired me to write. Oh, you know what? I never wrote my note for. I said I was going to demonstrate it, but I forgot to even address that. The only thing I was going to say about W is that I looked down in the hiragana table, and actually, no, sorry, Japanese. I think it's on the phonology table that it mentions the thing that I thought I saw yesterday, which is that W only appears before A. Oh, where did I see that? Shoot, I thought I saw somewhere. I mean, you can see here in the hiragana table, it confirms that wa, we, and wei are the only syllables that actually start with a W sound. Because the kana in this row is not pronounced wo, it's just o. But that's kind of what I already saw yesterday. I thought I saw a note about that today. Oh, okay. This is where I saw it. Okay, phonotactically legal phoneme sequences. Um, Sorry for the jargon, but right. Okay, this is what it's saying here: is that in native words, wa is the only legal syllable in which you see a W sound, and if you see we or we or wo, they're, I guess, mostly found in Western loans. Yeah, I have not seen that happen. I can't speak to that, but in native vocabulary, usually at least, the only time that you would see wa is in the syllable wa. Cool. So confirmed. I'll just write that down in my notes. That for question 9, confirmed. I was right about that. Just want to get a section link for myself to remember that I saw that. Come on, it doesn't automatically make it a link. Cool. Okay. Sorry, I kind of interrupted myself here. Oh, I was saying this character was the one that inspired me to write this note about just kind of, this is another just historical thing about why characters with a certain pronunciation in Chinese ended up being pronounced a certain way in Japanese. That was kind of surprising to me, but I'm not actually going to try to answer that now. Just, I recognize the character. It ends in O, but I don't even remember what the consonant is there. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see what that word is. The part I actually have to answer, why? Naze. I don't even know if I've seen this kana before, but the little double mark thing, I think, voices the consonant. Sorry, that's another linguistics term, but I don't. Voicing is actually an important concept to know about in Japanese, I think, because it explains not only the behavior of kana, but I think some other, like, just some other stuff that you see with, like, compound words that I don't even know how to describe yet. But we can talk about voicing for a second. Voicing is just a quality of a sound. Any speech sound is going to have a voicing parameter to it. Basically, it's just whether or not your vocal cords are engaged. And so a lot of sounds will come in pairs of with and without voicing. For instance, sa and za, everything in your mouth is doing exactly the same thing. The only difference is whether your vocal cords are engaged. If you want to verify that, what you can do is like put a finger here on your throat, and you can just switch back and forth between the two sounds without any intervening vowel or anything. Like you can just go. You can do that for yourself, and you can feel that nothing is changing in your mouth. The only thing that's changing is that you can feel your throat vibrate a lot more when you say zzz, because your vocal cords are vibrating. Anyway, so Japanese has 4 sets of sounds that come in these pairs: pa and ba, ta and da, ka, ga, sa, za. In this chart, the ones on the right are voiced. Not every sound comes in pairs. All of these unpaired sounds are voiced except H. But yeah, these things with 2 sounds in the same cell, it's because one is voiced and one is not. Anyway, that's what I was talking about when I was saying in the hiragana, I've seen se before as this one, and the kana that I was pointing out looks just like that, except that it's got these little double marks. And the double marks just mean that the consonant is voiced. And so you can look down here, the voiced equivalent of se is ze. And yeah, and that kana, that hiragana is exactly the same except it has the double marks. Which is actually, that's kind of a nice thing. There's a lot of ways in which Japanese writing is really, really difficult, but one little way that it makes it easy on you is that the little double marks thing has just a systematic meaning. Which, that's handy. That's easy. Actually, the one kind of funny exception to that is what I was just mentioning, how H and B have this connection in Japanese, where the kana in the H row are like the kana in the B row, except the ones in the B row have the voicing mark, which is funny because B is not the voiced version of H. But again, this is just because these kana were originally used to spell syllables with P or with B. So, where am I looking? Right, this was originally pa versus ba. That was a voicing pair, but then pa started to be pronounced as ha. And then P came back into the language through, I don't know, probably through Chinese loanwords or something. And they had to come up with this extra little circly mark for kana with P sound in them. But yeah, that's a funny little window onto the history of Japanese. But anyway, for everything else besides H, it's just regular, that the little double marks mean that the sound is voiced. So when I looked at this and I knew that that was the kana for ze, that's how I knew. Anyway, I spent so much time talking about this, but yet I have absolutely no idea if this is the right word or not. Yeah, honestly, I have nothing to go on here. I'm going to just choose randomly. I have no idea what the answer is.
本当? なぜ?
Okay, cool. Okay, what did it say for the first word?
本当? なぜ?
Honto. Okay. So it's hon, like I said, to. It's not immediately obvious to me why that would mean really. This one meant book in the last sentence that I saw it in. And I don't even remember what this means. But yeah, I'll be interested to see why they mean really when put together. Okay, I think maybe last time I saw this it meant like correct. This means a lot of things. Source, origin, root, current, this. Original, actual, base. Okay, this is like a crazy range of meanings. I guess maybe like current or original kind of has a connection to really, I don't know. Maybe like what's really going on right now. I don't know. Obviously, not everything is going to be totally compositional and make perfect sense in a language. So it's just, I guess, a word that you have to learn. This word, naze. Oh, so the na here is related to nani, what, that I've seen in other places. The ze, I don't think I've seen this as a kanji before. I have seen it in Chinese, maybe. JK, I don't think I've... Oh, okay. Yes, no. I don't know. You know what? I'm not sure if I've seen this. In Chinese. It looks familiar. Maybe I have. Anyway, that's beside the point here. This just means like what reason, maybe? What something? I don't know. Again, not totally compositional, but at least it starts with something that's kind of a question word. Okay, I'll just have to remember that. Naze means why, and I'll remember that because the na is the same na as in nani. Okay. Have I seen that kanji? Maybe. Ka. See something. Okay, well here's C. What is the second kana? So oh, it's A. Okay. Mieru. Oh, this was... I saw this yesterday. Mieru is... It's like a passive of miru. Right. I saw this in a sentence yesterday. I don't know if this is a regular pattern. Throwing the in there, turning miru into mieru. I don't know. I don't know if that's regular. But yeah, it's like some kind of passive of C. Visible. Oh, that's weird. It can either be able to see or visible. Oh, is this a potential? I've seen potentials only one or two other times. Oh, I like that it auto-filled to the section about the te form. I don't know why, but so far I think that's my favorite Japanese verb form. I don't even think I need to pick a favorite, but I have one anyway. I enjoy it. I don't really know why. But anyway, potential ends in eru a lot of the time. Oh no, okay, the potential of miru is mirareru. That's really funny to me that it's like a regular. It's one affix actually. Rareru is just a single suffix in Japanese that just has the same consonant sound 3 times in a row. I think that's pretty funny. Anyways, it's not a potential. It's just something. I don't know what. I don't know if there's any rule about mieru at all. Kikoeru. Okay, I haven't even seen the verb for hear yet, but I assume that sounds similar. Or that it has a similar relationship to the verb for hear. I would guess based on this that the verb for hear is kikoru. Yeah, okay. I don't have anything to say about that other than it's just its own word. Mieru. So.
何か見える?
Oh. LOL. I just asked if I had seen this kanji, even though I literally just was pointing out how I knew it. Nani. This is Nani. Right, okay. I guess in context. I wasn't sure. Nani ka mieru. Okay, one thing that's interesting to me are ka, the question particle, I've seen it at the end of sentences. Right, like desu ka ends in ka, being a question or a question particle. But here it's not at the end of the sentence. Here it's coming after the thing being questioned. So, okay, I have no idea what this means. Oh, hey. This answers another one of my questions. A Japanese full stop is traditionally used in place of a question mark after this particle. I can go ahead and stick that in my list of answers. That was the question. Oh, is there another one I didn't write down? I definitely said it out loud yesterday. But I guess I never wrote it down. Why don't all questions end in question marks? And to question 10, we can say, I'm going to say instead of this particle, I'm going to actually put the particle. And I'll cite my source. Boom, question answered. Part of why I'm doing this is I am always tempted to go to Reddit or some other forum when I have something confusing that I see. But I don't want to just spam. I want to give myself time to just figure out the answer by exposure. So this is like a way to help me keep track of what questions are still unanswered after a long time. Okay. Well, this doesn't really address it being used immediately after a question word like this. But, okay, I'll look out for that. Actually, why don't I write it as a note? I wrote there's a faster way to use my Japanese keyboard. Nani ka mieru. Okay, the actual content of the sentence actually makes sense though. It's just like, oh, actually that's an interesting observation. It's not, maybe without ka, actually let's put this in translate. Maybe without ka it would be, what do you see? Or what is visible. But if you add a ka, it makes it extra uncertain. It's not, what do you see? Yeah. Okay, that's cool. What if I add ka here? Can I do that? Obviously, now the Google Translate is the gospel truth on correct Japanese, but oftentimes it's actually pretty good at picking up on patterns like this. This is cool. This is cool. So if I just say Nani mieru or nani mieru ka, it's what do you see? But if I put the question particle right after the question word, then it makes it more uncertain. I'm not even certain that you can see anything. It's just, do you see something? And if so, what is it? That's cool. Okay. Good. Okay, only 2 in. I'm definitely going to have to speed it up. Watashi mo Wiktionary said it means like even, but maybe it is also like either. Or like even I. You couldn't explain it, she couldn't explain it, even I can't explain it. Right. Or okay, maybe it's just also. Also I, even I. Not yeah. Okay. I can't explain it either. I also can't explain it. Those mean pretty much the same thing. Watashi mo. Okay, this seems like it would mean explain because it's a character that means speak plus a character that is used in the Chinese word like mingbai, meaning understand. So that seems logical.
私も説明もできないよ。
Setsume. Okay, great. So this is a different kanji reading of that first one. Setsume. Let me. I think when I. Okay. Frickin' OBS, man. I should try to figure out why it keeps crashing, but luckily I don't really lose anything except, like, my webcam freezes, but who cares about that? Anyway, I was saying, I always open, I get lazy and I open Wiktionary just in this little side panel, which, honestly, big ups to Clozemaster for providing this. It's great, except that my face covers it because my face is over in the lower right hand corner. So for the sake of the video, I'm trying to remember to keep this open in a new tab. or to always open in a new tab instead of just doing the side panel. I could just move my face, but Setsume. So me is the pronunciation that I know of this character in Mandarin is Ming. So that's kind of similar. Yeah. Okay. This ties back into this note that I had about things ending in a nasal sound like ung. So in Chinese, this is pronounced like miang, something like that. Old Chinese, Middle Chinese. But the ng sound got dropped, and I don't really have an explanation for that. But like, okay. Me, I'll take it. Similar enough to Chinese. And setsu. Right, that's this character. Okay. So this character, I've seen it before in the verb. I thought this was the verb in hanasu. Oops. Right, hanasu. Oh, okay, duh. I really am showing how rusty my Chinese has gotten. So this is the character that in Chinese is pronounced shuo, and this is the character that in Chinese is pronounced hua. They're not the same character. They don't mean the same thing. But in my mind, I was not keeping them straight because it's been a while, I guess. Okay, but they both have the speech radical, which is this part on the left. They both look kind of similar. They're both related to talking, so that's cool. One question I have, so this is another one that in Chinese it ended with a T. Something like shuet, whatever. In Middle Chinese, point is it ended with a T. And before we were looking at Nietzsche, which came from like something like neat in Chinese, so that final T became a chi sound. Here in this kanji reading that we're looking at right now, it's setsu. It became tsu. But it looks like it can also be read as sechi. Maybe one is just more common than the other. That raises the question: if a Middle Chinese word ends in a T and a T sound, when does it become chi and when does it become tsu? The answer might just be as simple as we've got these readings from two different time periods, and like depending on when it was loaned into Japanese, it'll be pronounced different. But I don't have enough information to say whether that's a hard and fast rule. So I'll put that as a question. Characters. So if you don't know what I'm talking about with Gon and Kanon, these just refer to, I've like looked at this Wikipedia page at this point, So I've become exposed to this information that the so-called Sino-Japanese readings, meaning Japanese people reading a Chinese character basically the way it's pronounced in Chinese, but just put through the filter of the Japanese sound system. That there's multiple kinds of Sino-Japanese readings depending on when the character was loaned and like when and where Japanese people are like attempting to say it the way that like when and where the Chinese people were that the Japanese people are attempting to pronounce it like. Worth pointing out, this is like a thing that happens with any pair of languages, right? Like in English, if we loan a word from French, I don't know why this is the one that comes to mind, but like French has a word entendre that just ends in like this uvular R sound that's not even its own syllable. But in English, we just say entendre. So we have this whole third syllable of the word that's not there in French because we want to give the R sound its own syllable. And we don't use the French R sound, we use the English R sound. And we also don't really say a nasal vowel. We don't say on, like entendre. We just say entendre. I don't know. Anyway, that was just an example to point out. Any pair of languages is going to do this. It's not like unique to the Japanese that they were, I don't know, whatever, that they weren't pronouncing their Chinese correctly. This is just always what happens when a word moves from one language to another. But yeah, like maybe, 500 years ago, the way that an English speaker would try to pronounce a French word would be different than they would do it now, because English and French were both different 500 years ago or 1,000 years ago. And that's just what we're seeing here. So there's like multiple different ways to pronounce a Chinese loan word, depending on when it was loaned, and maybe it was loaned multiple times. Which just, I think that's why Japanese is, I think that's like the single most important factor in why Japanese is considered to be a hard language, is just the fact that kanji can have so many different readings. But hopefully, if you can kind of see some of the patterns, then it won't be as hard, because you'll see the system going on. I definitely haven't gotten there yet at all. Like, I haven't even thought about that really, except this is the first time. But yeah, maybe I'll find more tidbits like that. Anyway, watashi mo was it setsume? Setsume? Okay. Watashi mo setsume mo de ki. Yes, modeki. Modeki nai yo. Okay. Okay, dekinai, that's just the negative of dekiru. Yo is just a particle that makes it exclamatory or something. I don't know. I'm just gonna figure out the meaning of that particle through vibes. Dekinai, so not able. Setsume. Okay, and setsume is one of these that's a noun. You can kind of use it as a verb, but you have to use an actual verb like suru. So setsume suru, to do an explanation, is to explain. So it's just a noun. As for why this mo particle is appearing twice, I don't know. That's probably just another one of those things that just gonna kind of have to pick up on through exposure. I'll see if this happens again. But watashi mo setsume mo dekinayo.
私も説明もできないよ。
Setsume mo dekinayo. Okay. Have I seen this? I think it's a second person pronoun. I might have seen it just on Wiktionary or something. Mo, again, also. Make an effort. Okay. I recognize these Chinese characters. I think this compound is a word in Chinese. I think it's pronounced nu li in Mandarin. And I think it means to work hard or to try hard. Wonder how it's said in Japanese.
君も努力してよ。
Kimi mo, what do they say?
君も努力してよ。
Doryo? Doryoku. Okay. Oh, new tab. Doryoku. The first one is do, and okay, that's one of the Chinese readings. Second one is ryoku. From Chinese, Middle Chinese, look. Okay. Ryoku. And that is a verb or noun? Okay, cool. This is another one of those nouns that Wiktionary also considers to be a verb, but you have to use a helping verb. You have to use suru. Doryoku suru. And that's what's being done here. Shite yo. Is this, I guess this is a command. The English is kind of ambiguous. It sounds like it could just be an observation. Oh, hey, you also are making an effort, but I guess this is a command. What was this? Kimi? I have seen this. This is the one that is specifically in men's speech for romantic partners, which is interestingly specific, but could be useful. Kimi mo doryoku shite yo.
君も努力してよ。
Alright, 4 in, and we really need to speed this up, so I might just finish this 10 and then kind of just shut up. Are, that, wa is the character for tree.
あれは木です。
Ki. I find that so funny when, like, a noun or something that's not a super basic meaning, it's just a single syllable in Japanese, like me for I. Seems like it would just get lost in the shuffle being just one syllable long, but okay. Ki. Are wa ki desu. Kare? Kare, right? Not kore. Kare. Where's the kore? Kare, right, okay, but kore is also a demonstrative or something. Right, okay, actually, yeah. Okay, yeah, kore. Oh, okay, so kore would be this. Kare, I guess, in classical Japanese would have meant something similar to are. But then I guess it just started being used for people. Right. Distal demonstrative. That. Yawn. By extension, a person. Okay. Kare wa. Every day. This means every day in Chinese.
彼は毎日そこへ行く。
Mainichi? Mainichi. Okay. Great. In Mandarin that would be 每日. Every day. Koro? Right? Koro? No. Soro. Sorry, Soro. Still, I think that just means like there. Soko. Right, okay, because Coco is here. Soko is where? Or there, sorry. Soko e. E, I think, means to. Iku. Iku is just a terminal, like plain form of that verb. Right. E, to, towards. Right. Iku or yuku. Iku, to go. Yeah, okay. Kare wa mainichi soko e iku.
彼は毎日そこへ行く。
Great. Korera is. I forget. I saw a word for they. It might have been korera or karera. Wa
これらは人間だ。
ningen, human or people. Ningen, yeah, I've seen that word. Okay. Human person, human being. Karera, or no, this is korera. And I think I've also seen karera. Okay, these can also mean cholera. That's awesome. This is korera, and I think I've seen karera. Right. So this is some kind of special plural marker just for like demonstratives, just for certain kinds of pronouns. This, that, he, her, they, stuff like that. I want to see if there's an entry for that. Pluralizer. Okay. So the Ra reading is native. There's also a Chinese reading that I will not learn unless I have to. Okay, but Ra is just a pluralizer for certain things. Oh, okay, this is interesting. So before I've seen watashi, the first person pronoun, and watashi tachi, the first person plural, so I versus we. This is a different word for I, because Japanese loves its pronouns, and this one is pluralized with ra, so ware, warera, I, we. So two different words for I, me, which have different plurals. Korera wa ningen da. Okay, well obviously I recognize the rest of this sentence, wa ningen da, but there must be a third first person pronoun floating around out there, either ka, zuke, nani, hopefully not, whatever this is, or this. I'm going to say it's probably kanji.
俺は人間だ。
Ore. Who would use this? Originally a second person pronoun, gradually changed to a first person pronoun. Informal men's speech, I or me. Okay. Oh, and it didn't even... Okay. A lot of Japanese pronouns also have like a noun meaning. Like I think boku meant manservant. Servant. The noun kind of gets appropriated into a pronoun, but I guess ore has only ever been a pronoun, but somehow it just shifted from meaning you to meaning me. It was casual form of self-address by men, suitable for conversation among close friends or relatives. Okay, so if I'm talking to Sean, I say ore. If I'm talking to Alia, maybe I call her Kimi. Watashi. I don't know if that's just like very formal or something, but usual polite term. Okay, if I'm talking to a stranger, I say watashi. Ore wa ningen da. We're saying, I think the other thing that makes Japanese really hard is the fact that it does attend a lot to all these kind of like social and contextual concerns. I was talking to a friend last night at a party about my experience learning Japanese so far, and I was talking about how it was very interesting to me that a lot of times the like actual concrete information being described in the sentence will be dropped. So I think I've seen sentences where like the English translation is like, what are you talking about? And the Japanese just says, what talking about? But conversely, Japanese seems to spend more energy than English, or be more specific than English about pointing out not information about what's being described, but about like the speech act itself, about the speaker, about the listener, the social relationship, the context, the formality, whatever, the attitude, things like that. And that's one of the other dimensions in which Japanese is really hard, besides the writing system. And I think that will definitely be one of the aspects that, however good Clozemaster is, and I do think it's a pretty good course, it will not probably teach me that, because all these sentences are out of context. Right, now I know the word ore, but I don't know who said that. I don't know where the sentence came from. So it doesn't really give me any information about who would say ore, when to say ore. Yeah, so maybe at the end of the year, if I stick with it, I will be able to speak Japanese. I'll just be rude as hell, because I'll like have no idea when to use the right pronoun or the right particle. Yeah, that seems perfectly likely to me, but we'll see. Alright. Shitei. Questions. One of these probably means question. Maybe this?
質問していい?
Right. I don't know traditional characters, but I think that this rightmost one is the traditional form of the character meaning to ask in Chinese, and I think I vaguely recognized it, which is how I got that. Right. Chinese, this is one, and I'm used to seeing the simplified version of it, but okay. Mon, it's reading as mon in Japanese. Shitsumon. Oh, it's nice that I can see the little kana reading here. Okay, shitsumon. And the first one means quality? Characteristic? Well, I don't know what that has to do with questions, but okay. Shitsumon shite is, of course, suru, the conjunctive form of suru, but maybe that's not how it's being used here. Maybe the way that I would interpret this is that it's like, right, okay, this is another one. Oh, let me open it in a new, alright, I have it open. This is another one of those ones. This is definitely a pattern, a very strong pattern I'm seeing. Nouns that can be turned into a verb with suru. So shitsumon is questions, shitsumon suru is to ask a question. And I guess what is going on here is it's like, it's conjoining suru with the adjective I, meaning good, and it's like, is asking a question good? Asking a question good? Something like that. Enough, not wanted anymore. It's not this, is it? To say. I may be totally misinterpreting it, but I'm going to say this probably means good in this context. Kareto, with him. Kareto wa. Doubling off of particles again. Kareto wa. I didn't even recognize this kana. But I can tell that this is some kind of progressive construction again. It's the te form of something followed by iru, so that's fun. What kana is that? Yatte. Okay. I have no idea which of these means get on well with. I'm gonna pick one of the ones with kanji.
彼とはうまくやっている。
No, not that.
彼とはうまくやっている。
Umaku. Is this two words? Horse. I don't think it's a horse. Oh, is this a verb? Maybe. No, sorry. Is this a verb? Yes. Okay, it's just... No. No. What is this? Umaku yatte. This is one of the tough things about Japanese. They don't write any word boundaries, so I just have to... I just have to try like every way of slicing up these kana. Maybe it's one of these. Does maku mean something? Oh, okay. Yatte iru. To be coming, to be arriving. I mean, is ya... Is this not just a verb? Let me put this in a new window. Oh shoot. Yatte iru. Or yatte kuru, I mean. Right, okay, so the verb is just yaru. To do, to act, to give. Yes, I'm going to assume that's the verb going on here. And that umaku... Oh, unless this is part of the following word. And was never like the topic particle. Okay, that doesn't seem like it. Man, I have no idea what's going on here. Just try putting this whole thing into Google Translate. I get on well with him. Okay. Can I split this up? Kareto. Oh, this is nice. This is a cool way to go about it. Google Translate splits it up into words for me. So it's saying that umaku is indeed successfully, nicely, ably, okay. Oh, is this the adverbial form? Umaku. Umai. Okay, right. Umai is a verb, and the ku, I have seen that before, is an adverbial ending. Umaku. Good at something skillful. Great. Okay, so it's with him. Topic marker for some reason. Good. So umaku yaru, I guess, just means get along well with. Sure. Okay. I do well with him. It's umaku.
彼とはうまくやっている。
Let me actually see the definition of this verb one more time. Yaru. I should just start typing these in. Yaru, to do, to act, to give, to send. Okay. Sure. Probably see that again. Okay. Wow. So yeah, obviously I'm going a lot slower than I need to actually finish any reasonable time. So I'm gonna just. I'm actually kind of hungry. I'm gonna run and get some food for a sec. And then I'll probably just get back on and just silently work through the rest of it. Yeah, I'm gonna eat for a sec. I don't know when these chats came in. Okay, I'm not sure what this is a reference to. Is this just one of the notes that I had? Ru progressive, right, okay. Saikin do shiteru. So I think this person is just saying that it's basically an abbreviation of shiteru. So cool. That's a handy tip. I'll write that down in my notes. Thanks. Who should I attribute this to? Sneed McChuck. I think maybe this is the same person who commented on my first live stream, so thanks for being engaged, Sneed McChuck. That's super helpful. That's good to know. Cool. That's great. Makes sense. I'll respond in chat in case they are looking at that.
あまり見えない。電話がかかってるよ。
Mhm.
英語は難しいですね。英語は難しいですね。話したいことが多い。結果は気にするな。
もう一つ質問してもいいですか？もう一つ質問してもいいですか？
何を料理しているの？僕の家はこの近くなんだ。僕の家はこの近くなんだ。僕の家はこの近くなんだ。僕の家はこの近くなんだ。約2週間です。約2週間です。あなたが女の子だからよ。あなたが女の子だからよ。 あなたが女の子だからよ。あなたが女の子だからよ。あなたが女の子だからよ。あなたが女の子だからよ。電話がかかってるよ。何を料理しているの？
あ、雪だ。その川は危険だ。彼にその本をあげた。
音楽会は成功だった。音楽会は成功だった。音楽会は成功だった。結果だけが重要だ。結果だけが重要だ。結果だけが重要だ。全部食べなさい。全部食べなさい。
トムには誰とも話をさせるな。トムには誰とも話をさせるな。どうして私なの？この少女は誰ですか？この少女は誰ですか？それが重要な点です。 それが重要な点です。そんなに働いて何になる。そんなに働いて何になる。
料理が上手ですね。
絵を見なさい。
口ばっかり。口ばっかり。 3週間ぐらいです。3週間ぐらいです。
心配しないで。彼は一生懸命勉強をした。彼は一生懸命勉強をした。彼は話をやめた。 私の意見は違います。私の意見は違います。
座ってください。
そんなに働いて何になる？そんなに働いて何になる？絵を見なさい。彼は一生懸命勉強をした。
宿題がたくさんある。宿題がたくさんある。宿題がたくさんある。入っておいでよ。入っておいでよ。
あれは僕の写真。彼は小説を書いている。彼は小説を書いている。
彼女はお金を与えた。彼女はお金を与えた。彼女はお金を与えた。
本当であるには良すぎる。
トムの声がする。彼女は幸せです。
彼が若いはずがない。彼が若いはずがない。彼が若いはずがない。電車が来るよ。電車が来るよ。
あれは僕の写真。彼は小説を書いている。彼は小説を書いている。
彼女はお金を与えた。彼女はお金を与えた。彼女はお金を与えた。
本当であるには良すぎる。
彼女は幸せです。
彼が若いはずがない。なんて答えたの？なんて答えたの？なんて答えたの？
私には娘がいます。 私には娘がいます。
彼は非常に親切だ。彼は非常に親切だ。船だよ。船だよ。警察が来てる。警察が来てる。
彼は何と言いましたか？彼は何と言いましたか？目は心の窓である。目は心の窓である。
彼は10年前に死んだ。
行きたい。50円です。彼は目が悪い。私と一緒に来ない？私と一緒に来ない？
彼女は彼の顔を見た。
彼は健康だ。 宿題は簡単にできた。宿題は簡単にできた。
学校へ行きたくない。
学校へ行きたくない。テレビをつけて。
テレビをつけて。
テレビをつけて。私は食べられる。
私は食べられる。
食べられる。
以上ですか。
以上ですか。以上ですか。
気にするな。
過ぎだよ。
考えすぎだよ。
考えすぎ。過ぎだよ。考えすぎだよ。考えすぎだよ。過ぎだよ。考えすぎだよ。彼は東京にいます。
彼は東京にいます。
トムは
トムは車を運転した。トムは車を運転した。トムは車を運転した。
車。トムは車を運転した。運転した。 した。
トムは車を運転した。
母は
母は店に行くの？
店。母は店に行くの？
母は店に行くの？
よ、よだった。
夜だった。
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 知らせてください。
知らせてください。
信じてくれる？
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 私はもう心はありません。
私はもう心は必要ありません。
必要、重要、必要、重要ありません。彼はドアの前にいます。
彼はドアの前にいます。数分前にトムに会った。
数分前にトムに会った。
数分前にトムに会った。
その川は長いです。
長いです。長いです。その川は長いです。彼は書いた。
彼は手紙を書いた。
彼は手紙を書いた。
私も受けました。受けました。
ました。私は音楽が好きだ。
私は音楽が好きだ。
音楽が好きだ。彼女は
彼女は親切だ。
彼女は親切だ。私は何をすればいいの。
私は何をすればいいの。
すればすればOh. Conditional. すれば私は何をすればいいの。僕は君といかん。
僕は君と同意見だ。
同意見だ。
彼は両親と住んでいる。
両親親切両親。私は女性。
私は女性です。
私は女性です。
全くですね。
また全くすべて全部全くすべて全部全くまたい全くですね。全くですね。
彼は寝た。彼は私を
いかせる、いかせた、
彼は私を行かせた。
いかせた。徹して、徹していけ。
出してくれ。
あ、だ出す出る。出してくれ。
出してくれ。
出してくれ。そんな
ものあったっけ？
そんなものあったっけ？そんなものあったっけ？そんなものあったっけ？彼女は家に
彼女は家に帰った。
帰る。帰る。帰った。彼女は家に帰った。
彼女は家に帰った。
学校は
学校はどちらですか？
どちら、ああ、いや。どちら。
約束するよ。
約束するよ。僕は若い。
僕は若い。
すぐにできます。
すぐにできます。
来る。来ます。できます。すぐにできます。すぐにできます。オーディオ。
通りを歩いた。
歩いた。 た。
飛行機が見えた。
飛行機。飛行機。飛行機が見えた。
飛行機が見えた。
飛行機が見えた。
疲れたよ。
疲れ。疲れたよ。
美しい日です。
美しい。
美しい日です。
美しい日です。
私の猫です。
猫です。彼
は朝早く来た。
彼は朝。
彼は朝早く来た。
早い。彼は朝早く来た。
彼は朝早く来た。
本当。
本当？
コーヒーはどう？
コーヒーはどう？
彼らは先生を
彼らは先生を待った。
待った。それは私の
それは私の研究外のことです。
研究。
それは私の研究外のことです。
研究外のことです。彼の家は
彼の家は大家族だ。
家族だ。 彼の家は大家族だ。それは私の
それは私の研究外のことです。
研究外のことです。彼は何でもすぐに
彼は何でもすぐに理解する。
理解する。理解料理。Oh my gosh. 料理する。54歳54でね。
54歳で死んだ。
死んだ。
54歳で死んだ。
54歳で死んだ。54歳で死んだ。54歳で死んだ。車に
車に注意しなさい。
注意しなさい。注意しなさい。車に注意しなさい。
車に注意しなさい。彼は動物が好きだ。
彼は動物が好きだ。私は
それには関係ない。
関係ない。関係ない。どういう
どういう意味ですか？
どういう意味ですか？どういう意味ですか？
人生は美しい。
彼はテニスをした。
彼はテニスをした。
僕の腕時計はどこだ？
腕時計僕の腕時計腕時計僕の腕時計腕時計はどこだ最近どうしてる
最近どうしてる
最近どうしてるこれなこれなんてこれなこれなんてこれなんて言うの
これなんて言うのその試合見た
試合その試合見た